I want to know why you think the way you think. Him, sit down with Jimmy. Why do you think the way you think? Why would you think that it's okay to say that it's a real simple thing? The people that have been vaccinated, you treat them, and the people that took horse goo, rest in peace, Wheezy.
Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo? Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Really? Is that really how you feel? Like people that are sick from a disease that was created in a lab that was funded by our own tax dollars?
Bring it! What?
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the recording. I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful Thursday. I know I am. I will be interviewing Viva Fry, excellent content creator at 1 o'clock Eastern over on the Evil Green site. I hope that you'll tune in and welcome him and enjoy our conversations on all things news today, including how Tucker will probably be completely destroying the internet in just about 8 hours. So we're going to have a lot to talk about with that. But first, I want to talk about how Jimmy Kimmel, all right, leave a like on this video if you hate Jimmy Kimmel. It helps a lot. It lets me know you're out there. And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe or follow down below. It helps a ton. If you're watching on Rumble, I'm actually close to 200,000 followers there. Jimmy Kimmel, one of the biggest pieces of garbage on the planet, got absolutely low-key roasted by Joe Rogan yesterday as Aaron Rodgers appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience, and they discussed all sorts of topics. Most of the stuff we probably basically already heard from Aaron because he has his platform on the Pat McAfee show, but he did indicate that people were trying to end that and things of that nature. But there was an interesting exchange between Joe Rogan and Aaron Rodgers, where Rogan pointed out just how much of a piece of garbage Jimmy Kimmel is. So first, let's go to the coverage of it, and then we'll actually look at the real clip. Aaron Rodgers has reiterated he did not intend to imply that Jimmy Kimmel would be on that particular list. The 40-year-old Jets quarterback returned to the Joe Rogan Experience this week and was asked why he brought up Kimmel in connection with the list. Rodgers explained that Kimmel had mocked him after he deadpanned on the Pat McAfee show that the government UFO disclosures might be a distraction for the upcoming list of rich and powerful people accused of participating in, of course, terrible behavior on that island. Well, I don't think that that's far-fetched. I think there's an awful lot of coincidental timing of these kind of headline-grabbing events right around conveniently timed other events. Now, can I prove that, somebody's back there pulling the strings? No, but I'd say it's at least more than... I would at least say it doesn't make you some kind of wackadoo to think that they might want to distract from this. He went on to say, quote, he had gone on a show and called me a tinfoil hat wearing doofus who was talking about that I thought he had said that I was an idiot for even thinking that there's a list out there, Rodgers said. In his appearance on McAfee show back in January, Rodgers' former teammate AJ Hawk brought up the list. It's supposed to be coming out soon, Rodgers said, adding that with a smirk, there's a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, that are really hoping that list doesn't come out. Rodgers asked this week, so when you were saying that he doesn't want the list to come out, you weren't saying that he was on the list, is what Joe Rogan said. Sorry, Rogan asked. Rodgers said no. Rogan said that there are a lot of people that saw the interaction out of context and that and thought that's what Rodgers meant. Nobody watched the effing clip. That's why they saw a headline and were like, oh, the anti-jab guy again. Let's hammer him, Rodgers said. And he's 100% right about that. If you watch the actual clip, no point does Aaron Rodgers declare that he was on the list. He never even really implied it. He just said he didn't want it to come out. Let's not pretend that Jimmy Kimmel is 1,000 degrees of separation from people on that list or people associated, as his best friend was Jeffrey's personal chef. traveled to the island hundreds of times, was on the plane, knew everything that was happening on that island. I don't think he was ever charged with anything, although he was investigated. I believe Jimmy Kimmel also went into business with him and or funded his business. So let's not pretend that Jimmy Kimmel is just squeaky clean. The point that Aaron Rodgers was making is that there is a belief that there are a lot of powerful Hollywood people on those lists who attended the island. I mean, we've seen literal royalty be implicated. I don't think there's really any question that there isn't just Joe's six-pack. It wasn't like Jeffrey's plumber was going to the island in exchange for, remodeling his bathroom. The purpose of this island was to blackmail people, to film interactions with people that were illegal. It was a honeypot, and it's my belief that it was not just used by the United States government, but by governments all over the world to get leverage over powerful people. That said, on the podcast this week, Rogan said that he himself had seen the clip out of context and thought Rodgers was implying Kimmel was on it. A lot of celebrities are on that list, Rogan said. The list hasn't been released yet, Rodgers said. And there was a text from one of the individual. There are 100 people who were on the receiving end of bad behavior on the island. Nobody's going to jail. Jelaine was charged for trafficking to nobody. And I said this, and I went back on McAfee's show. That's a big effing accusation that I wouldn't make. I said, Jimmy, I'm glad you're not on the list. Rodgers nonetheless felt Kimmel should keep that same energy for what happened with Jeffrey as the disdain he had for people who were skeptical of the jab. All I'm asking is, let's have that same energy for you talking about the jab and people, if you're not jabbed, being left to die, about all these people on the list, because it's effed up. What goes on at the top of society, why people were going to that island, and all the conspiracies about whether he was Mossad and Jelaine and her father and all the weird connections. I'm all for corruptions on all sides being taken down. I don't give a frick if you're on the left side, right side, whatever. Rogan opined with the Rodgers statement that Jeffrey's Island was an intelligence operation where they were compromising powerful figures that they could get control of all sorts of narratives and make sorts of decisions. Of course, that's what it was, at least in my opinion. Rodgers had said Kimmel's staff invited him on the show last summer, but that he would have liked to have a private conversation with the host before going on. Well, Jimmy Kimmel can dish it out, but he cannot take it. And now to the low-key savage burn from Joe Rogan here. Now, I think Joe Rogan probably has some things to say about Jimmy Kimmel, but he doesn't come right out and say it.
I think there has to be certain voices of reason, and many people say I'm an idiot. I'm not smart. I got attacked for my intelligence levels, which is an interesting angle to attack me on. There's a lot of things you can say about me, but that's an interesting angle to go. But in the end, I believe that what I did and what I stand for is a tough position to be in. But I think it's important responsibility.
But just so people don't remember, this guy who is in probably the top 0.01% of physical condition, just like probably almost anybody in the NFL, even those big offensive linemen and defensive linemen are in better shape than most people. He made the choice that he was willing to fight the fight. He felt like his body could fight the fight. He didn't want to go get the jab. And he was ruthlessly mocked for it, vilified for it by people like Jimmy Kimmel and other NFL commentators, losers like that clown show who runs Pro Football Talk for NBC. What an absolute cuck that guy is, Mike Florio. There's a lot of people that had a lot to say about the guy not getting it. But, he had every right not to. I want to go to Rogan's part here.
Talk to him? It was the Kimmel thing, right?
Well, did
you ever talk to that dude? Have you ever talked to him?
I've been on the show
Yeah?
years ago, yeah.
Right there, Joe Rogan's like, this guy's a clown. He's not coming right out and saying it, but he's saying, did you ever talk to that moron?
Would you ever have a conversation with him in person?
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, they wanted me to be on the show in the summertime after I got traded.
Really?
there, obviously been some things that he had said about me that made me go, I don't know if I want to do that. I'd rather.
By the way, good for Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't be doing that either. Screw him.
That conversation is a conversation that should be held in front of an audience in 5-minute chunks.
Well, so then Rogan, of course, says, look, this is a conversation that, needs to be in a podcast format where you can actually extrapolate your ideas and you're not just getting sound bites. And I agree with him there.
No, sit down with Jimmy. Why do you think the way you think? Why would you think that it's
go.
okay to say that it's a real simple thing? The people that have been vaccinated, you treat them. And the people that took horse goo, rest in peace, Wheezy. Really? Is that really how you feel? Like people that are sick from a disease that was created in a fucking lab that was funded by our own tax dollars? That's how you feel like? Those people.
And let me just point out the way that one of the complex scenarios that exists with Big Pharma, and they do talk about it on this podcast, but it's something that a lot of you already know too. America and New Zealand, I believe, are the only two countries on the entire planet that allows pharmaceutical companies to buy television advertising. There is a reason that you see non-stop drug ads during the news. Do you know why that is? It's because they are paying indirectly, in my opinion, for silence. And this goes for Fox News too, by the way, who took plenty of money from Pfizer. These drug companies buy up all the ad space during these shows, and then the shows become beholden to them because they own them. These shows survive on ad revenue, and because you just ask yourself, watch the news once. How many of those commercials are for, Zipic or whatever the heck that's, so whatever the new fad drug is out there? Almost all of them? That's on purpose. That's to curry favor with the coverage of these news networks. And nothing ever has to be said. So the left will say, oh, that's a weird conspiracy theory. What are you talking about? You can't prove that. I know. That's the point. Nothing has to be said. It's like access journalism on a smaller degree, right? Oh, we get you early access to this video game in exchange for favorable reviews. Everybody knows that's how it works. If you trash a video game 2 weeks before it comes out, you do not get early access. It is a quid pro quo. Getting access to a video game 2 weeks before everyone else means you get to make the money with exclusives. That's how you make your living. But if you tell the people the truth about that video game, you will no longer have that. And that's exactly how the pharmaceutical company, in my opinion, controls the news narrative.
People should just die because they don't trust the government or they don't trust the pharmaceutical industrial complex that's been responsible for lying so many fucking times. They're literally criminal organizations that have some of the biggest criminal fines in the history of this country.
Yeah.
Again, what Joe Rogan does here expertly is low-key calls Jimmy Kimmel a liar and a hack. Embarrasses him. Basically says there is no way you're an actual human being and believe the crap that you're saying. There's no way you're an actual human being and you believe people should just be left to die if they if they had any mistrust whatsoever for the government. Whatever happened to the Tuskegee experiments, right?
And that all of a sudden, they're the ones we're supposed to trust? The liberals were always the ones that were anti-big pharma. They were always the ones that had no trust in
Anti-big
big government.
banks.
Yeah, anti-big banks, all that. And then all of a sudden...
Anti-war.
Yeah, all of a sudden the ideology shifts because so many people are compromised by this very thing that we were talking about before. The very thing that they use to control the media in terms of the news, they use it to control the media in terms of late-night talk shows and monologues as well. It's the same influence because they're the same sponsors. The same people are spending the same money on.
He's 100% right. See how many drug company ads are on during Jimmy Kimmel Live. You don't think that Stephen Colbert got some huge sponsorship money for dancing around with syringes? That's why they say what they say. There never has to be a contractual obligation. It is just known, and any idiot knows that. And what Joe points out here is extremely valuable. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I hope you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, wherever you're watching, please do follow and subscribe. And I hope you'll join me over on Rumble for my Viva Fry interview today at 1 Eastern. It's going to be a blast. He's always a lot of fun to have on, and I'm hoping to see you there. We'll talk to you again real soon.